Dental school, becoming a dentist requires that you get into dental school. Stay tuned as we talk to an incoming D1 student who got into two dental schools, and she's going to tell you which one she's going to. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show, where we talk about getting into dental school, surviving dental school, getting into residency, and then life as a new dentist. Guys, be sure you are continuing to like, share, comment, especially comment down below with all this information. But also sharing is caring. Share it with other colleagues, people that you know that are interested in the career of dentistry, the profession of dentistry, that this may be a resource for them as well. Okay. Also, this episode of Ask Dr. Darwin is being brought to you by Dr. Darwin On Demand. That's right, Dr. Darwin On Demand, the ultimate membership community to help you as you're getting into dentistry, applying to dental school. A lot of resources, a lot of ability to network with other people. Q&A, a monthly Q&A. For more details, check down here, down below. For more details, Dr. Darwin On Demand. Okay. Today, we're going down to the south a little bit here. I'm in the northeast, but we're going to go down south a little bit to talk about one student's journey into dentistry. Today, we're joined with future student doctor. Well, I'm just going to call you student doctor Kierra now because you've been accepted and you're getting ready to go. So, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Not as good as you. You got into dental school. Congratulations. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about why dentistry, how you started the application process, how you prepared for DAT, your schools that you applied to, your interviews, the questions, and how you decided on which school to attend, but also most importantly, tips and advice. So guys, make sure you stay through all the way through. All right. May have some special announcements for you as well. So introduce yourself for most of everyone who's listening and watching and meeting you for the first time.
Well, I'm a non-traditional student. I'm Kierra Banks. I'm from Mississippi, and I got my undergrad degree in industrial engineering. So I was far from healthcare, didn't want to go into healthcare, but I'll talk more about that as we go forward.
Yeah, so you didn't want to go into healthcare, but somehow you chose dentistry. So why dentistry? Why dentistry?
Well, my last year of college, my mom ended up, getting sick. So I said, okay, let me look into careers in healthcare because I wanted something more where you was actually helping people who needed you. Not saying you can't help an engineer, but the help is different, so to speak. In engineer, you're doing behind the scenes work. I kind of want to be on the front line work.
On the front line, in the front mouth, or in this case, in the front of your mouth and inside your mouth and your head and neck area and just your overall health that's related to oral health. Okay, that makes sense.
I actually didn't know I wanted to do dentistry. It happened by mistake.
Yeah, so did that mistake come in the form of going to some offices or shadowing some people? Like, how did it happen?
I was talking to a girl and she mentioned dentistry to me because people know I like to be creative and just stuff like that. I said, okay, let me look into dentistry. I saw I need to do 4 more years. I'm like, oh no.
Can we jumpstart this process, please? 4 more.
And then I just kept thinking about myself, okay, let me at least give it a try. And I had a friend from my high school who has a dad who's a dentist. So I contacted him.
Mm-hmm.
He let me shadow, and I found out he was periodontist, which I didn't know there were any dental specialists. Mm-hmm. It may sound crazy, but I didn't know. Like, yeah, I went to an orthodontist when I was younger, but it just never crossed my mind like, oh, he's a dentist. I just didn't think about that. But once I went to shadow, I really, really loved it. I loved how he talked to patients. I loved the surgery. I love how I just saw the creativity in it. Like he had to talk to their physicians because this guy couldn't have surgery due to like gum disease and stuff. So I just really realized how connected the body was to the oral health. So I was like, okay, let me look into it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you looked into it and made that decision, usually the next step is the application. And for many people, that's the part that is like, uh-oh, uh-oh. So share with us a little bit about how and when you started the application process, especially since you were kind of like going into another path with another career. So let's talk a little bit about your application process. How'd you start it and what did you do?
My application process was kind of weird. Like I knew I wanted to go into dentistry my last year of college. But I just finished my industrial engineering degree. But I started like actively working on my application March 2021. So I kind of started shadowing. Like I did my application in phases because I was working full time. So I couldn't just do everything at once. And around late April, early May, I started working on my essays. Around May and June of 2021, I started working on my lesson recommendation. I studied for DAT June and July. I also took my prereqs for biology 1 and 2 lecture and organic 1 and 2 lecture and lab June and July. So that's kind of how it went for me. Had to go in phases.
Yeah, definitely in phases. Definitely in phases, especially there's some other parts of the application. Notably the letters of recommendation, but also the biggest thing that has 3 letters of the alphabet. The DAT, the DAT. So let's talk a little bit about how you prepared for that, because for many people, as many of us know, and like the DAT can be the entrance, not the interest, the entrance ticket that you are interested in, of course, into dental school, and it can actually open up so many different opportunities for you, right? So let's talk a little bit about how you prepared for the DAT, some of which you may have had some preparation as far as your undergrad degree in industrial engineering, but still, like you said, you had some classes that are related to the DAT, some that were not. So let's talk about how you prepped for the DAT. What did you do?
So like I said, I took organic chemistry and biology June and July. So I used those classes to study. I used DAT Booster. I highly, 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 highly recommend
DAT Booster. Now, they are not, I will say, they are not a sponsor of the video, but they should be sponsoring the video because we've talked to a lot of people that have had some success. But go ahead, DAT Booster.
Use Booster Crash Course. They're like $100 for 3 hours. They have it on certain topics. I think biology, PAT, and maybe math. I can't remember. They probably added more courses by now. Chad, at the time, Chad had free DAT practice tests. It was like 5 of them. So I used probably 3. And that was pretty much what I used. I was planning to go back and use that free DAT boot camp test they had, but I ran out of time. So I definitely recommend Booster and try to utilize all the free resources you can before buying more.
Yep. If it's free, it's for me.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets you more in front of the reality, which is getting you in, getting that good score, because it's one of the probably top 3 or 4 things that schools look at, right? That score. It's not everything, but it's significant. It's significant, right? So that's important, the DAT prep. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin. Are you looking for some mentorship, some accountability, some help with getting all of this application and getting into dental school and getting into residency and then just your life as a new dentist? Look, I'm having monthly, twice a month, live coaching sessions and office hours so we can talk about all of that. I don't want you to struggle with the application process. I don't want you to struggle with getting ready for interviews. I don't want you to struggle about what list of schools and programs to apply to. We talk about all of that in our group, our monthly group called Dr. Darwin on Demand. Dr. Darwin on Demand. Check it out down below here. And then also, if you're interested and you want to get that help so you don't have to struggle anymore, so that you can get some mentorship, some accountability, and some help, hit this link right here. Hit that link right there so we can get you signed up and enrolled today. Today. Your future starts today. And I'm here to help you. This is Dr. Darwin. And join my members-only community called Dr. Darwin on Demand. Look forward to seeing you soon, okay? Now back to this episode. Enjoy. So you prep, and part of that prep, you also do some due diligence, and you're prepping to look at also schools, programs. I know you're down in Mississippi, and I know there's some schools in your area that you looked at, but I know you also had a list of schools that you considered. So let's talk a little bit about those schools, the number of schools that you had on your list and that you applied to, and why those schools. Why those schools for you?
Okay. I applied to 8 schools, and I applied to a school based on like stats, like what's my DAT score in the range, but in my case, my DAT score wasn't in the range for most schools. It just that one of my scores were a little lower, so I had to take into account, like, depending on how low my score is, so I applied to this school. I applied to schools based on location. I mostly applied to schools in the South. I think I really wanted to stay in the South.
Mm-hmm.
That I applied to some schools up north, but I really don't like the cold.
Right.
And I applied to other schools based on their responsiveness. Like if I reached out with a question, was someone there to answer? You'll be surprised at how many schools I reached out to, and you couldn't get a hold to anyone. They'll say, "Oh, you need to email them or call." You just couldn't get in contact with anyone. So I just took those off my list.
Now you did reach out. They just didn't return your call or your email.
Or my email. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that can be disappointing. But keep in mind, it's not personal because there's like 10,000, if not 11,000 people applying to dental school. For actually, it's more than that. Actually, it's a lot more applying to dental school every year.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of people. I mean, granted, there's 65, getting ready to be 66, 67, 68 dental schools. Most of those schools have anywhere from 50 to, on average, probably close to 100, except for, NYU that's got 3 billion people in each class. It seems like they're the largest dental school in the U.S. But yeah, a lot of the schools are responding to all these different applicants that have questions, and that's why they have these forums. They have these dental school days, impression days. Some of the organizations will have information about the schools, about the school overall, which helps the admissions office with not having to answer a whole lot of different questions. But they still have some seminars for candidates so candidates get a better feel and get more reality to what they just see on the website. It helps them to connect the dots a little bit.
Yeah, which I didn't take it personal because it was during like May 2020. COVID was still a thing.
Yeah.
I understood, but since I wasn't clear on the requirements, I just didn't apply. I already not waste the money.
Nah, you got to keep that money. Keep that money because you're going to be spending it doing these 4 years of dental school to support your studying and your matriculation and your development through the 4 years as well. So 8 schools. How many interviews did you get? And let's talk a little bit about those interviews. What were those interviews like? What were some of the non-traditional questions that were asked that you remember?
All of my interviews were virtual. So one person asked, "Why so many schools?" With
so many schools, really?
Yeah. No, like not why I applied to so many schools. Why did I go to so many schools?
I got you.
But I just explained to her, like, with engineering, we tend to take a semester off to co-op or take the summers off to do internships. So I was doing that. I'd take a couple classes that's nearby. So I just explained that to her. I had probably 6 or 7 transcripts. That was a lot. And then they asked, is my spouse willing to move? So I am married, and that's just something they knew was a big factor in me choosing their school or not. And one of the questions they asked, I don't know if I answered it wrong, but they laughed. They was like, what's your least favorite part about dentistry? And my answer was
your least favorite part about dentistry.
Yeah.
I think I have my answer as a candidate. Go ahead. Let's hear your answer.
I said watching root canals. But I came back and said, I might like it if I'm doing it, but just watching them do it, I can't see anything.
Right. Yeah, it's a tiny, tiny area that we're working in. I would have responded, the least thing I like about dentistry is not being able to get into the profession. I want to get in, I want to become a dentist. So that would be the least thing that I would like if I cannot get into dental school and become a dentist.
I should have said that.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right, because those interviews that you had led to some actual some good news, right?
Yeah.
So
they laugh.
Yeah, they laugh. Yeah. Well, that's probably. I mean, unless you already know that you want to become an endodontist, or you had a shadowing experience that was, that was just so remarkable that you couldn't stop talking about it. And it could be endo, could be oral surgery, could be orthodontics, whatever. For most people though, endo is one of those ones that's like, hey, how they do that? How they do that? Until until you're in the profession and you're learning about it as well. So,
but they did ask a follow-up question off that though. They was like, so what's your favorite thing about dentistry? I said dentures. It's something I could see. I saw that patients, even though they may have had cancer, they still came and got those dentures. So I just like seeing a reward after that, once they actually get them.
Yep.
And another question, it'll be the last one. It was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So I know we talk about tips at the end, but I'm gonna just kind of throw a little bit right here. I actually did a mock interview at my university, and they asked me this question.
Good.
I got stuck on it. So I would recommend definitely go do a mock interview, because you may end up getting the same question again, and it helps.
That's right. That's right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the services that we have through Dr. Darwin on Demand, and also Get Into Dental Residency, which is also part of Get Into Dental School as well. .com. Mock interviews. Check the link up top right here, because that can make or break you, but you want it to make you. You want to give them all the reasons why they must accept you into dental school. And a lot of that will be your communication, your body language, how you interact with those individuals that are making their assessments of you while you are assessing them as a school as well. But you have to be comfortable. There's no time to be fearful or be scared, because you've got to make the best first impression, because you usually only get one interview, and you only get one time to interview with that school. So those mock interviews and being prepared is part of the investment that you're making in yourself. And you're going to be going through many other interviews, both as a dental student with your patients, but then also as a graduate, when you're going to be actually full-fledged DDS or DMD. Guess what? You're going to be interviewing patients, and they're going to be interviewing you each and every encounter chairside. So it's the interview process and the communication process is an important one to practice and to be prepared for as well. So we talked about the interviews, and those interviews actually led to some acceptances. So let's talk about the 2 acceptances. No, 2, 3, I forget. You'll tell me. Let's talk about the acceptances, and then where you are going to be going later this year.
Okay, so I had got 2 acceptances, and I pretty much debated between the 2 based on location and based on debt level. One school gave me a very nice size scholarship, and it was close to home. I'm like an hour away from the school. And I will be going to UTHSC.
UTH what? SC.
Yeah, University of Tennessee Health Science Center.
There you go. I was getting ready to say, for people who are not in the South or in Tennessee, they may not know what that means. So yes, accept it. Accept it. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So I know you said location and your investment, the debt that will be associated, or the amount of the investment that you would have to be contribute to. So those two things weighed in, because I know when we talked before, University of Mississippi was really looking to keep you in Mississippi, and they threw some different things at you as far as hoping that you would stay. But again, like you said, at the end of the day, time is money, because I know time was a thing for you, but also the actual amount of money is one of the things that a lot of candidates are concerned about.
I would tell you one thing that did help me were your videos. I ended up finding Dr. Frederick. She's an orthodontist.
Yeah.
I contacted her because she gave her email, and we were both from Mississippi, so that's why I contacted her.
That's right.
And we talked, and she just like, think about it, think about the money, but she was like, where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 years? She asked me the same question.
Yeah.
And I, you just had to think like, man, do I want to spend an extra year getting a master's where I'm taking a big risk? Because if I were to get a C, my spot in Mississippi would have been gone.
Right.
And now I have to start the process over again, so I thought about those things, and she helped me out.
Yeah, that's my good. Shout out to Dr. Bianca Frederick, who's now getting ready to, I think she might have finished her board certification, former resident at Bronx Lab, and she went to University of Mississippi, went to Meharry for dental school, and I'm glad to see. Yeah, that's right. I'm glad to hear that those videos that have been 2, 3, 4 years ago are still very helpful for individuals like yourself, and also others that are watching and listening. So check out those other videos, guys. There's a lot of free content and a lot of value in those videos and those interviews and podcasts that'll help you through this process. So don't shortchange yourself by not looking and investigating and pouring into those videos and watching them as well. So we are now going to be talking about two things, and then we'll wrap it up, which is, what was the hardest part about this process for you? The hardest part.
I kind of want to say everything. The easiest parts, I would say the easiest parts were the DAT and my essay. I'm not saying I didn't have to study for the DAT, but those things were things I could control. Everything else was kind of up in the air. Like my letter recommendations, the only courses I had was chemistry 1 and 2 and physics 1 and 2. My Chem 1 teacher had counselor, so I couldn't get in contact with her. My Chem 2 teacher wasn't working as a teacher anymore, so I couldn't ask her. My physics 1 teacher, he moved back across seas, so couldn't ask him. And my physics 2 teacher, he ended up giving me a letter of recommendation. So my other letter of recommendation depended on the courses I took in June and July. Asked my biology teacher, since I had the highest average, he said no because he didn't know me that well. So asked my organic teacher, and he came through and did it for me. So those were the hardest, in the sense that I depend on someone else to get it done.
Yeah. And you know what? It's only preparing you for what you're going to experience in dental school, because guess what? To continue your matriculation and push through each year, there will be some things that are out of your control, namely patients showing up in the clinic. So that's all kind of like preparing you for what to expect. Also what to expect with regards to tips and advice. Those that are listening and watching want to know what those tips are, especially the pre-dents, right? So give us 2 or 3 or 4 tips for pre-dents, knowing what you know now, what things maybe that you would do differently.
Knowing what I know now, I would continue doing things regardless of how it looks. Like, So I initially was going to start stuff for my DAT back in March, but I was having trouble getting shadowing hours. I was living on the Mississippi coast, like in Biloxi. And since I was working, I couldn't I couldn't shadow during the week.
Mm-hmm.
So the dentists I contacted that were open on the weekends, they all said no because of COVID. I called dentists in Mobile, Alabama, since it was closed. Everyone told me no. I called dentists in New Orleans. Everyone literally told me no. So I'm like, no sense in me studying for the DAT because I can't get shadowing hours.
Yeah.
Then I ended up calling someone, North Mississippi. You probably heard of South Haven. And a dentist there allowed me to shadow. So I did that for about 5 weeks. I got about 40 hours, and it was a 5.5-hour drive every single Friday. It was tiring, but with that being in my application, they knew that I was passionate about dentistry because who else would make that kind of sacrifice?
Wow.
So I would tell you, study for the DAT or do whatever you got to do because you never know who will be around the corner, up the street. They're waiting to help take you to the next level. So,
yeah, perseverance and just doing whatever it takes to get you to check the things off for your application, but also to help you continue to get prepared because everyone is going through some trial and tribulation as part of this application process. And again, it is a process. There are no shortcuts, but there are some resources. Like you today, you have been a resource in sharing your journey to dental school, and we're really excited again to hear that you're going to be part of the class of 2026.
Yes.
And yeah, you should be. And I guess you're going to be moving soon with your family. And getting ready to embark on that journey. So thank you so much. We're proud of you. Continued success. Not going to say good luck. I'm going to say continued success. That's what we say here, continued success. You don't need luck. Anybody can get luck. But you need more than luck to get through dental school. You need more than luck.
Everyone say it's so hard. I have no expectations. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing you should expect. And this is part of the tips and advice for those that are getting ready to start their D1 year. What to expect is the content and information that you're going to be getting is going to be like drinking water from a fire hydrant.
It doesn't stop.
Not only does it don't stop, but it's just so much. I mean, your mouth is so big, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be coming at you like this, and it won't stop. But you'll be able to do it. You will do it. All right. So again, thank you so much. Congratulations. We're going to continue to stay in contact throughout your D1, D2, D3, D4 year, and before you know, in 4 years, 2026, you will you'll be a doctor, Kierra. So again, thanks so much. It's been very, very helpful for those that are watching and listening. And guys, check out these next set of videos right here. Hopefully these will be helpful as well. And that's our time. Love, peace, and smiles. See you on the next video. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.